Hi everyone, I'm Jen Bristol, Commissioner for 1B06. We are so glad to have you guys here online with us as we meet for our monthly ANC meeting. It's May 7th, and we are going to kick off today with an information session from the city. We are very lucky to have Christy Greenwald, Jessica Smith, former commissioner here at ANC 1B, and Detilio Radcliffe. They will be talking about the Ward 1 short-term family housing project and giving an update about the latest on the project. Throw it over to you guys now.
Great. If we could put up the slide deck. This is Christy Greenwald. I'm the director of the city's Interagency Council on Homelessness. I oversee strategic planning and interagency coordination. I'm just going to give folks a little bit of context on the project, and then I'll kick it over to my colleague with the Department of General Services. If we could just go to the agenda slide. Again, I'll just provide a quick overview. We'll turn it over for construction updates, and then a couple updates on community engagement, and then we can field any questions if there are any. So on the next slide, folks, I think probably know we're talking about the project that's at the corner of 14th and Clifton. This is one of our replacement shelter projects. So this is, these are apartment style family shelter units. So there's 35 units in this project, a family shelter. We also have space to do an additional 15 units of permanent supportive housing at this site for seniors, which is very severely needed. So we're maximizing the space on this lot to help us do that. And then the project also includes some upgrades to just a refresh of the Rita Bright Family Youth Center. So construction started last summer in July, and we are on track to be completed in early 2021. So with that, my colleague Detilio is from the Department of General Services, who is our real estate arm, is going to provide an update on where we're at with construction.
Thank you, Christy. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Detilio Radcliffe. I'm pretty much the project manager from the city side of things to complete the Ward 1 short-term family housing project that Christy just described to you folks. I'm on the day-to-day aspect of the progress of the construction, so I'll pretty much be giving you guys some construction terms and just some updates of where we are. Currently, we are striving for what is called or referred to in construction as topping out. That's when we get the entire structure or the skeleton of the building constructed with the roof on top of it in order to start putting on the facade skin in the roof. So essentially what we're trying to do is put the structural roof on top of the building in order to tie everything else into it. So that's what our milestone is to date, and these points of construction updates I'll give you will kind of relate to that effort. Currently, out of 5 stories, we're poured up to levels 1 through 4. Currently, we're starting to install our load-bearing walls, which support the roof framing. Again, that refers to our topping out milestone. We are looking to continue to install our load-bearing walls currently to date, all the way up until the beginning of May. Mid-May, we're looking to pour the last bit of concrete, which will signify our topping out. That's usually a celebration for us to get finished with the rest of the project. Also, along with that, we're bringing in the utility side of things. The equipment needed, which is referred to as the switch gear, is coming into the project at mid-May. Mid-May is a big turnover for us project-wide. We've got a lot of milestones we're going to be hitting there. Along with trying to top out the building, we're going to be also trying to be dried in. So that's where our perimeter wall install starts mid-May. That's where we'll start to be able to do interior finishes, drywall and paint and things of that sort. Moving pretty good here lately. COVID hasn't stopped us too much here. Construction still going on as scheduled. We are just moving forward ahead. Along with that, to ease some of the COVID-19 stressors here that we're all experiencing, unfortunately, we decided to go to a 4-day-a-week schedule. just to ease some of the impact on the community. We will still work within the DCRA regulations from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And essentially what we'll do is treat a Friday and a Saturday just as what we did previously as a weekend, so to speak. So we'll work our 410s Monday through Thursday under DC permit work hours. And we will give you guys a notice as soon as possible when we need to utilize a Friday or a Saturday to make up for inclement weather or schedule impacts and so forth. We are deciding to uphold this augmented schedule up until about June 1st this year. At that time, we'll reevaluate our schedule to make sure we're going to meet our marks. And then we will decide if we're going to continue with this augmented schedule or revert back to our original construction schedule. So we keep our communication out there as much as possible. So we'll continue to do so as we continue to complete the project.
Great. And then if we go to the next slide, I'll just give a couple of quick updates on the advisory team. I think folks know that we within the city have been using an advisory team structure to support our work on the short-term family housing redevelopment efforts. And so with that, Commissioner Bristol helped us identify a number of people to serve on this advisory team. The purpose of the advisory team has been really to just sort of be a liaison to the community and help us proactively identify things that could be pain points so we can proactively troubleshoot and then also address things in real time and ensure that there's two-way communication from the team in the district as well, back and forth with the community. So one of the first things that we did was develop construction management guidelines. So that sort of is a common set of guidelines for how we work in the community. And as Detilio said, some of the timeframes and work is just managed by DCRA rules, but we have tried to work proactively to identify sort of, again, pain points. So the example of going to a 4-day work week was one of those things that we have discussed through the advisory team to try to minimize some of the impact on the neighborhood. So there's a number of things with the construction management guidelines around parking and just around noise and notice and communication and things like that that we built into those guidelines. We've used the advisory team to get feedback on the exterior design. And a number of months ago, we turned our attention to what's called a good neighbor protocol, which is really the draft agreement that will sort of govern how we all work together in the neighborhood as the neighbors, both how the community interacts with our project and how we, including our clients and our service provider and government reps, interact with those in the community. So we've been working on that good neighbor protocol. And then the other thing the advisory team has been really important with Commissioner Bristol's leadership is to really just help facilitate dialogue as the project has continued. Our next steps, we will be sharing the Good Neighbor Protocol draft to solicit feedback. And I think Commissioner Bristol can probably talk a little bit more about her process that we're going to use to solicit further feedback. And then once that's finalized, we'll share with the Department of Human Services. And so they'll be able to incorporate many of those elements into their contract when they procure a service provider for the site. We will also be soliciting building names. This is something we've done for all of our new sites across all 8 wards, is worked with the community to identify potential names and then let the community really have the final say in naming that by voting on a name that they think would really represent the community well. And then the AT will continue to help us troubleshoot issues as we move forward. And then as it has been the case with other wards, the advisory team will sort of take on a slightly different role once the project is up and running, but it will still continue to be a source of feedback to the provider and the city and just sort of be a conduit for information as the project gets up and running and as we have clients in there and as our new provider is on site. So with that, that's sort of our quick summary. Jen, I don't know if you have anything else that you wanted to add.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. So For this project, as Christy mentioned, the Good Neighbor Protocol is a huge piece, an opportunity to give feedback from the entire community. It's really going to govern how the property interacts with the broader community and neighborhood going forward. And this is our chance to say, hey, we really care about safety and security. We care about trash, noise, whatever it might be. This is your opportunity to give input. I will say that, the agreement is three sides. It's the community, it's the city, and then we have the neighbors and the people that live there as well. And so, it's all of us together that will be putting this agreement together, but also following it. And so as part of that effort, we were originally hoping to have an in-person session, at this May meeting, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've had to delay that. The good thing about the Good Neighbor Protocol is that we do not have to finalize it until hopefully late summer, early fall. That's my target deadline. And so I've created an online form for everyone to give feedback this spring and this summer. I will close the form on August 31st. So there is plenty of time to submit feedback. Amanda, do you have the links to show? So we have a copy of the Good Neighbor Protocol for you guys to see, as well as the form. It's ready, it's live. We're happy to send it out via email, but we also have some short links available as well. I can put that in the chat for you guys if you'd like to take a look at that.
Yes, definitely. And those links, the bit.ly link that we're sharing here, we'll put in the chat, and we will also share this slide deck with everybody who's participating now. And I do see a few Q&As just about participating as an attendee. Just make sure you put your Q&As in that Q&A function, and we'll make sure to answer any of those questions live during the new business portion of our meeting. So that will just be after we take care of voting and everything else.
Are there any questions for us about the project? Please enter them in the chat if you do have them.
Yeah, or actually just in the Q&A function.
Yes, someone's asking if I can send this out by email. I'm happy to send it to my listserv. I can also, put in a link to how to join the listserv. We're trying to be very communicative about the project. The city has agreed to, provide monthly construction updates, as well as updates if they do plan to work on Saturdays, and then during this interim period, if they plan to work on Fridays and Saturdays as well. Okay, and then there's a question about, let's see, parking lot to support the construction activities at 2500 14th Street. So city folks, can you guys explain, the property adjacent to the building, 1420 Clifton Street? Can you explain a little bit more about why some of the parking spots have gone away? I think there's some confusion about the property lines.
I'll take that one. I will start by saying what permits are approved by the city to occupy spaces. We have about 9 spaces on 14th Street that have been permitted. We've got about 96 feet on Clifton Street that's been permitted. And we've got an auxiliary parking lot on a feeder road on the other side of Chapin. But I'm not sure specifically, is there a specific incident that someone's having an issue parking somewhere, but those are our limits on the project.
Great. And then can you talk a little bit more about, if you do need to use their property, like what sort of steps or processes you would take and why that might be?
I don't think we have an issue using the property, other than we've come into a condition where there's a section of brick infill that needs to be installed about 4 foot from the ground up. That's due to the fact that the property limits are so close to each other. There's probably going to be some type of coordination that needs to happen there as far as completing that work. It's an interesting and unprecedented kind of a situation there. So I think a lot of us have never had to deal with building on a property that's about 8 inches from your own on a commercial side of things. So we're looking through code requirements and things for notifications and easement approvals and stuff like that. I just faced this issue a couple days ago, so we're still looking through some of the options that we can approach the community with in order to finish our construction work.
And Detilio, if there are damages to property of any kind, whether it be from 1420 Clifton Street, someone else's car in the alleyway, whatever it might be, how would folks go about remedying that with the city?
First and foremost, we'll fix it for sure. We've had issues, previously that have been reconciled. And the way we are going to go about that is I'm going to put a notice out today about how to file a claim with the GC's insurance company. They are insured, by the Hartford company. There's already a guy that's been appointed to this project just to oversee any type of potential issues that may arise on the project due to our recent event that we had the other day with the crane. I'm going to put out a notice tonight that gives folks the vehicles to file claims if there are necessary claims.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? We have maybe about 2 more minutes. No? Okay, well, I will add in the links that I mentioned to the chat so folks have it, and then I will also send it out to my listserv, add the folks that, came through in the chat that said that they did want to join the listserv, and in the next weekly newsletter that Amanda puts out, we will circulate all of that information again so that you guys have it. And I really want to make sure that you guys get access to this information and, to the various ways to give feedback. So we'll continue to push this out in every format that we can. So big thank you to Christy, Jessica, and Detilio for joining us today. I'm hoping that they will continue to be great partners and provide information and continue to update us as they can on the project developments. I know that they've been in constant contact with the community, and as Detilio said, if there are any issues, the city is committed and remains committed to fixing any issues that arise.
All right, thank you all for joining so much. And now we'll open it up to James, who will kick off our meeting, and then we can go back to the agenda with the PowerPoint shared. But just to clarify, please put in any questions that you have in the Q&A function, and we'll make sure to answer those live at the end of the meeting or whenever that's applicable during the meeting.
Thank you, Amanda. We'll start our formal meeting a few minutes early here, if that's okay with everyone. Call our regular monthly meeting to order. It's May 7th. We're having a virtual meeting, our first virtual meeting. We're still working through the issues. Do enter Q&A, any questions you have, and we'll get to those at the end of the meeting. Is anyone on from MPD to give an update?
So I was actually sent some updates from MPD from our community action meeting last week. Commander Emmerman says he wished he could be here, but hopefully someone might be joining later, but I just wanted to give a quick update here. So let me just get these up. So as of last week, when compared crime stats from last week real time to last year, the same week, we are down crime 23%. And Commander Emmerman let us know that this is hopefully because people are adhering to the stay-at-home order, so we thank everyone for doing their part. Also, crime that does happen right now, which actually the most crime we've been seeing is auto theft. So theft from an auto with parked cars, so just make sure that you take all your belongings inside and nothing is visible in those parked cars. But when theft does happen, there is a higher result rate in arrest. So the 3rd District Police are just finding that more people are being arrested for the crime they commit, and that success rate has gone up. They also have closed 2 homicide cases, one that happened on 2900 Sherman Avenue and one on the 100 block of N Street. So if anyone wants further information on those closed cases, and actually, sorry, correction, the Sherman Avenue case was closed with 1 arrest of, sadly, a 15-year-old man, but it remains open for investigation because they believe more than just 1 person was involved. If you do want more information, please do email us at anc.dc.gov or put in the Q&A and I'll answer anything that I do have information on. I know that they have much more online, and Commander Emmerman has said he's happy to answer any questions that do come from this meeting. So that's our MPD update for tonight.
Thank you. We do have a brief update that we received from Trevorrow Culpepper from Pepco. The Capital Grid construction is underway on 11th. Installation of the new transmission line. Crews started work on Ford Avenue and 11th Street and experienced a problem with the box tunnel currently there. There's water leaking into it and it made it unsafe for the workers, so they'll have to continue to work to replace that. With regard, there was an outage last week that I think impacted 200 plus people. Repairs were made and a root cause is under investigation. Trevorrow will be providing a detailed email to include in the summary of our meeting today to address those 2 topics. Let's see what else is here. Okay. Mr. Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Commissioner Norman? Commissioner Norman?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
I see her. There we go. Say something.
Commissioner Orlowski?
Here.
Commissioner Muhammad?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Edie Carlton?
Here.
Commissioner Bristol?
Here.
Commissioner Shia?
Ms. Yes.
Commissioner Mader?
Here.
Commissioner Turner?
Present.
Commissioner Delaney? Present. Commissioner Hudson?
Here.
Commissioner Winston?
Here.
It's a quorum of 11 of 12.
Thank you. We do have another new commissioner joining us today who filled the vacancy in 1B07. Commissioner, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Me, Marcia Shia. I live at 2633 15th Street, and I'm retired, and I am very interested in education and in senior issues.
Thank you, and welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Commissioners, there's an agenda before us. It includes a consent agenda, which is the bulk of it. They are mainly administrative items and items that we have dealt with in some form before. The meeting minutes, the financial report for the month, a resolution on 625 T Street. 625 T Street is a very small parcel in front of Howard Theater. It was purchased under the Gray administration. It was a used car lot, required remediation, and it was slated for redevelopment to be consistent with the Duke plan and to fit into the overall architectural style of the Howard Theater. It is a 2,000 square foot parcel that is shaped like a triangle. I've worked on a resolution with Commissioner Norman. Commissioner Norman, thank you for that. And Commissioner Hudson, who chairs the Economic Development and has been aware of these redevelopment efforts. Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. Also covered the language with DMPED, and this is something that they would like to move on since it's a rather minimal impact property and something that can be worked on perhaps during the emergency. Our resolution gives them guidance for any solicited or unsolicited bids of what we would like to see. It does not mean that that will be in the final bid or who they accept, but it does provide them guidance. There is the FY21 budget recommendations. If you've looked at our budget recommendations for the past 6 years, you'll see that they're fairly consistent. We continue to ask for more ANC support for common services, access to DC contracts, so we get DC pricing, and some DC operational issues. Basically, we're saying, treat us as part of government, give us great weight, respond to us, and give us the tools that you provide everyone else. So that's consistent with before. And there is also the budget and the 2Q financial report so we can submit it and get our reimbursement funding or our allocation. Are there questions on the consent agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Abstentions? Passes. Thank you very much, commissioners. Is there an update from the public health? Commissioner Norman.
No updates at this time. I would like to remind people to follow the mayor's order to stay at home if at all possible. Wash your hands, practice social distancing, and hopefully we can bend the curve. Thank you.
Nothing on rodents?
No, not at this time.
Least of our worries.
We've heard about short-term family housing and that very important project and its progress. New Communities, Commissioner Delaney.
No development at this time. We have received the plan for the development from the city. We were able to get those materials from them after the last meeting. They are reconvening and doing a little bit of reorganization as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's put some of their development plans on hold. And so they're working with the councilwoman and several of the community members to come up with a plan there, but no further action as of this last month.
Okay, update from public safety and community engagement.
Nothing other than what Amanda spoke of about MPD. One thing I would like to remind everyone is that we are diligently posting updates from the city, from the mayor's office, across our channels, including our website and on Twitter. We are actively pushing information about small business loans, anything that the federal government is pushing out there as well. So if you would like information, please visit that website. If you're not seeing what you're looking for, shoot us a message and we'll see if we can help you out.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we are sending out a weekly newsletter that James mentioned earlier in the meeting. It's called Neighborhood News and goes out on Tuesday mornings. You can sign up on our site and I'll send the link in the chat so you can sign up there. I did also receive updates from the Office of Councilmember Nadeau. She has a lot of legislative updates, fiscal year 21 budget updates, and then community updates, specifically on the Reopen DC Task Force. So if anyone has specific questions about the council member's office or anything like that, please feel free to share it in the Q&A we can address during new business. But I will be sharing all these updates with an email that will go out to everyone who has attended here today. Also received updates from the Main Streets office, so thank you to the Lower Georgia Ave and the U Street Main Streets. I will be also sending those out as the email.
Thank you. I would like to commend you for your good work, for the committee's good work on the newsletter. I don't know if you've looked at what other ANCs are doing, but we're promoting small businesses as well, our local small businesses across all of our SMDs. So we're doing a good job in promoting our small businesses, advising people on the services that are available, and also started a new segment, which thank you, Commissioner Delaney and Ms. Farnham for that, is the good neighbor. You may have seen the first part of that is being respectful of private property. During this time, it's human nature. You see an open green space and you want to use it because you've been inside. But we have to be respectful of private property, particularly universities, schools, churches. It's not a dog walking park. It's not a place to set up a play area for volleyball or something, but we do need to be respectful. So it's a good start of just what is a good neighbor to remind people. Sometimes it's just you need to give that little reminder. And I can see this, and they have plans to go for litter and many other issues affecting our community. So thank you for that.
Chair Turner, is there going to be, there was a question in the chat box about whether or not this effort would be extended to other parts of ANC 1B.
I can speak to that. Yes, the announcement that we made on ANC1B.org and the message that we're pushing is that we are requesting that members of the community please refrain from using all private spaces during this time. We have a stay-at-home order from the mayor right now, and unless you absolutely need to be outside, we obviously want you to stay inside. If you are outside, please respect lawns, church spaces, business property, university property. Those are not spaces that that we should be using, as they are not inhabited by their current occupants.
I did get some responses from a couple of churches about misuse of their property. One where there's a children's playground, which people brought their dogs to play. And of course, in a children's playground, there may be some going to the bathroom, which was not picked up, which is not good if the kids go out into these spaces. And it was, I'm sure, they didn't mean to be disrespectful. It was just not thinking. When you've been inside for so long and you have a very nice day to get outside, sometimes you just may not think about it because you're just enjoying the weather. So these are good reminders. If you have suggestions of topics, please pass it along. I'm sure the committee will embrace any and all. ZPD, I get to give that instead of Patrick going on. One issue about ZPD is that all the cases currently before BZA, many before historic, and certainly all before the zoning commission, they're only working on administrative regulatory updates. All cases have been deferred until after the emergency. Now, I know that some folks around the ANC have been very concerned when they see something posted in ISIS, which is the BZA zoning system. I believe there is one in Commissioner Norman's area that'll be of great concern once the emergency expires, and that is 421 T Street. That'll be a time that we can then bring it before the committee and have a very active discussion. And we'll do that whether it's a virtual meeting for the committee or an in-person meeting. We'll just make it, when BZA reopens, that's the time to deal with that issue. Working on it right now will not be productive because we don't know where it is in the queue of their work. With the number of cases that have been entered, they're just going to have a tremendous backlog to deal with. So I know people are very concerned that they see these cases going in, but rest assured that this will be handled once the emergency is lifted, and once again, the cases are being heard before the appropriate committees and commissions. Transportation, I don't think there's an update on transportation. You may have seen a announcement from the mayor's office and DDOT about sidewalk extensions. And they felt the need to put that little sentence in the end that contact your ANC if you want other closures. Well, it would. We didn't really receive any advance notice, so that was a bit of a surprise. Since then, we have not received any guidance from DDOT, and they have backed off on any street closures other than for social distancing in high queuing areas, like a grocery store or such. Maybe stores that are still open and they have a high clientele. So we need to, and there's a small sidewalk, so we need to use part of the street so people can walk by while people are queued. ABR, Commissioner Orlasky.
Hi, yeah, we did not have a meeting last month because, as everyone knows, all bars and restaurants are closed. However, we will be having a meeting this month because apparently Aubrey is accepting placards or renewal applications. So we'll have a short meeting. It'll be the third Wednesday of this month, which I don't have my calendar in front of me. Anyway, we'll have a meeting then, and it'll be advertised on the website, and it'll be virtual, similar to this one. Hopefully not too long.
Not to send you jumping out the window there. The placards are being issued, but the dates are not valid.
Yeah. I know, but we should probably talk about them anyway since they're accepting them.
If it's a way to deal with it, we can't really protest or anything yet until we get the firm dates.
Right, we can't. But it's always better. I find that because of timing, it's better to handle them right away. At least get a vote.
Well, you'll have your own queue built up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We will. There'll be quite a few when we're up and running. But as we are getting some new ones, we have to discuss them right away, and so we decide if we're going to do anything.
Okay. Amanda, are there any questions pending for Q&A?
I think that I have tried to privately answer all of the ones that were personal questions or about the email. If you do have any questions for the commission, feel free to put them in right now.
We will be taking all the questions that are appropriate to answer. and we will be responding to them and publishing those as part of the meeting. So thank you everyone for participating today. Please be well and stay well.
Thank you, everyone. I'll be sure to email everyone who attended, and we look forward to keeping in touch.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.